Welcome to Tech Latest from Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. I'm your host, Katey Creel, and in this week's episode, we're talking to Lauly Li, one of Nikkei Asia's tech correspondents in Taipei. Welcome to the show, Lauly.
Hi, Katey. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while since we've chatted.
Yeah, it's been months, I think.
Oh gosh, time flies. So this week we're talking about AI, but not chips, because we all know how important chips are in the AI boom, especially NVIDIA's lineup. But today we're talking about something a bit less glamorous, printed circuit boards. So these are basically boards, as the name implies, onto which the chips and other components are mounted. And then they're assembled into smartphones or a server.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Printed circuit boards are used in every electronic product you can think of, like smartphones, PCs, game consoles, cars, data centers, weapons, or satellites.
Oh.
Yeah, satellites flying into outer space. Everything needs PCBs. And so in the tech manufacturing sector, PCBs sometimes are called the mother of the electronic industry. As you have to put all the chips and components on top of it before final assembly into a product. It is a necessary part of the electronic production process, but it is often overlooked by policymakers as they are less glamorous than semiconductors. But they are just essential as chips to make electronic devices functional.
Like having a good foundation before building a house.
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of chips, I mean, we all know there's a wide range of chips, from very basic kind of commoditized chips to extremely powerful chips like NVIDIA's gold standard GPUs. Is there a similar difference in PCB products? Or are they all kind of much of a muchness?
Yeah, there are differences. There are many types of PCBs based on their end applications. For example, the number of layers, the thickness, the size of the PCBs used in smartphones, they are much different from the PCBs used in AI servers. And for smartphone use, the requirement for the PCBs will be thin and light. But for servers, you don't need that thin or light. And instead, there will be much more layers, and the materials to make the server PCBs is also different from smartphones, because for server PCBs, they require much higher standard for data transmission efficiency.
Oh, okay. So very different uses and environments they're operating in.
Exactly. So for PCBs using low Earth orbit satellites, the boards will have to pass the space-grade verification to make sure that the product can endure extreme environments.
Wow. I guess that's not something a smartphone generally has to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So in terms of production, at least up until now, the main hubs have been in China and Taiwan. But now we're seeing Thailand emerging as a major player.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, the first large PCB manufacturing hub was in Taiwan. But as the electronic supply chain shifted toward China since the 1990s, China became the largest PCB manufacturing cluster in the world. So like Chinese cities like Kunshan or Suzhou, they are the main hubs in China. And in Taiwan, the northern city of Taoyuan is the key PCB club in the island. And during the trip this time to Thailand, a PCB material supplier told me that there are more than 2,000 PCB factories in China. So you can imagine how big the industry is in the country.
Yeah, and the appetite for PCB just must be massive.
Yes, because you need everything for PCBs. Yeah. So back to your questions about the rise of Thailand. I would say the main driver is geopolitics. So when former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in summer of 2022, Beijing was furious. Beijing was furious, and it launched the first in decades live-fire military drills circling Taiwan for days. And the incident really had strong aftermath. It sparked industry-wide fear over the escalating tensions across the Taiwan Strait. And many of the tech companies really pushed their PCB suppliers, either they are Chinese or Taiwanese, to
Mm.
establish a non-China, non-Taiwan production option, and hence given Thailand a once-in-a-generation opportunity to become a PCB foothold outside of China and Taiwan. And so, just 3 years, there are nearly 60 PCB makers setting up factories in Thailand, and dozens of, there's materials and equipment suppliers are also coming into the countries to set up a service office to support their customers.
Wow. That's a great opportunity for Thailand for sure.
Yes.
Is this despite the tariffs, though? I know this is a much more recent development and it often seems to be changing almost day by day. But is the Trump administration's so called reciprocal tariffs affecting these expansion plans?
Well, the direct impact is limited because most of the PCBs made in Thailand will be sent to Vietnam or India or elsewhere for final
Ah,
assembly and then to the US. So there's
right.
only a small portion of PCB that are directly shipped to US.
Ah,
But
I see.
but that being said, we've talked to more than 10 suppliers this time. And what they worry the most about tariff isn't the number itself,
Hmm.
but rather how the uncertain tariff policy would affect the recovery of the global economy.
Ah,
Yes,
that
because
makes sense.
for the tech industry, except AI related, the rest of the applications like smartphones, PCs, or electric vehicles, they are
Mm,
still facing the ongoing sluggish global market demand.
I
So yeah,
see.
so all eyes are watching how the market would react for the rest of this year, and because that will also affect how these new PCB makers plans to further expand in Thailand in the future.
And this rapid expansion itself, I mean, for Thailand, it's a great thing. It can be a huge, obviously, economic boom, but it's not the smoothest of journeys either. So, what are some of the challenges that the industry is facing and Thailand itself in trying to welcome all these new investments?
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, the sudden flurry of new PCB suppliers is changing the economic structure in Thailand. It bolstered the existing but small PCB industry and
Mm.
leveling up the minimum wage for the manufacturing sector. But it also brings along new challenges such as cultural shock, talent crunch, and heated
Uh,
competitions among PCB makers. Yeah. So take cultural differences, for example. And during my trip this time, it was very interesting that all of the Chinese and Taiwanese suppliers we spoke to told us that the efficiency in Thailand has a lot of room for improvement. But
I see.
yes, but at the same time, all of the local people we spoke to told us
Hmm.
that they cannot get used to the aggressive working style of Chinese and Taiwanese people. Yeah,
Right.
it's,
You're
it's,
going to have
it's
to meet in
very
the middle somehow.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's my point because their working style are very different. For
Um,
for example, the managing director of Japanese supplier Mitsubishi Electric,
mhm.
he's a local Thai person. He told us that their Chinese client will place an order and want to deliver in 1 day.
Whoa.
But for then, it normally takes days to accomplish what the customer wants. But he said that if local people wants to work effectively with Taiwanese or Chinese PCB clients, they will have to adapt the new style to try matching their pace. Yeah.
Right. I guess in the opportunities that present themselves, you have to be willing to seize them, even if it's kind of pushing you out of your comfort zone a bit.
Yes, but I think it should be like mutually because the
Mm,
newcomers, I think they
right.
also need to adapt their mindset to adjust their working style. And both of them need to try to find a middle ground to work together with mutual respect. Otherwise, this cultural hurdle could be a long-lasting challenges for them to build a new ecosystem outside of Taiwan and China.
Absolutely. And that on top of all the other uncertainties, it's going to be a very interesting next several months for the PCB industry in Thailand and beyond.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Lolly. It's been great having you on. Looking forward to your next piece on PCBs.
Thank you, Katie.
That's all for this week's episode. For more of Nikkei Asia's tech coverage, visit asia.nikkei.com. You can also subscribe to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. Thanks again for listening, and check back with us next week. for more updates on the tech trends that matter.